Video games. We all have a console that we grew up with. That some consoles are people would fight. This one's better than this one. This one's better than this one. You see nowadays that it's everybody just accepts Nintendo for Nintendo, Ubisoft for being just a crappier PC, and PlayStation for being PlayStation and completing total maniacs. But you see, the PS1 was an untitled frontier. I personally did not play the PS1 that much, but I played a lot of the games. You know, the Crash Bandicoot, clear up until CTR, uh, Spyro, I still have that entire trilogy. Love that. But you see, the PS1 game we're discussing today is Rayman. Now, what is Rayman? Well, it's French, and that dude with no arm. Rayman was weird. Really weird. The game looked like a Saturday morning cartoon, and you may be asking, well, what's the big deal with Rayman? Well, we're getting into that today, so hold back on your seats and let's look at Ubisoft Montpellier, who was once the big dogs at Ubisoft, like the big dogs. But the first game that Ubisoft Montpellier produced, you may know them better for their Mario plus Rabbids series, which is getting Rayman DLC, which I am ecstatic for. But okay, Rayman, a game that started something that honestly was really good. Now, what is the PS1? To the untrained eye, it's a toilet. But to the trained eye, it's a pretty good paperweight nowadays. This is my PS1. Bro's seen some better days. There's some paint on it for some reason. Uh, I think that's soda. Dear God, I haven't looked at this thing in a while. So many memories. Just plugging in the PS2 instead. But anyway, see, the PS1 was PlayStation's little jab at Nintendo for cutting off a deal for a console that has gone down in fame and infamy, the Nintendo PlayStation. They supposedly exist. Honestly, I don't know if like one is actually out there. Because I know there was probably beta test models and stuff like that, just like an Ultra 64, which also exists. People have found controllers, which cool. think I'll just stick with the cheaper N64 and not shell out half of my life savings to, buy one. But PlayStation 1, that satisfying click when you turn it on, the reset button, every console needed one, and the top loading design. Honestly, great design overall, amazing ventilation. Like, vent here, vent here. I think there might be one on the bottom. Yeah, vent here, here. They really did not want this thing to overheat. Dear God, I wonder what would happen if you plugged them all up. Probably blow up. Eh. But on the bottom, you get your usual affair of cautionary warnings from Sony, the PlayStation, yeah, Sony computer, may electrocute you, the usual stuff. Don't shove your fingers into the dish tray while it's on, you know, stuff like that. But we're not talking about the PS1 today. That was just a weird offshoot. But we're talking about Rayman. Now, what is Rayman? Rayman's story, to be specific. Well, in a forest, there is this thing called the Great Protoon. The Great Protoon was a magical item protected by the Electoons, little Grimblos. They, the little dudes. They look all weird and goofy. And then you see, under the cries of the Protoons and Electoons, Rayman must get up from his hammock. What? What a weird way to start a game. But anyway, so you see Rayman's sleeping in a hammock, and he gives us the ready, steady, okay. Because that gives confidence in the fact that you just seen eyeballs peering out of a cage crying, going, help me. This is all in the intro. The game is like out there when it comes to freaking story wise. But in the depths of all of this, you find out that the one causing all of this mayhem is the evil, conniving Mr. Dark. Yeah, name Mr. Dark. Honestly, wow. They really couldn't come up with a better name? It's the French. It don't matter. Eh. But, so you see, Mr. Dark is this evil, bad guy. You don't actually really get to find out exactly what his deal is, but eh. But you see, Mr. Dark, he's all evil. So you, as Rayman, need to go and punch your way through levels, but first you got to beat level 1 without the punch ability, because you got to learn how to do this, because they really were just looking for a way to extend this game. You can't jump on enemies, so it's a glorified dodge fest, to be completely honest. But so the great um how do I put this? Mr. Dark steals the Great Protoon. Matilda Fairy at the beginning gives Rayman the ability to punch, physically move his hand like this. So you go through level 1 and 2 collecting caged electoons. The caged electoons look like this. It's literally just a cartoon cage. Enemies you'll be fighting are like the safari guys, the dude with a gun, a rock, a mosquito that's your friend, and then a mosquito that isn't your friend, piranhas, lightning eyeballs, other different weird characters. What else is there? Oh yeah, bosses wise, there's the mosquito I was telling you about, and the mosquito that isn't your friend, where you just kill him. Yeah. Boss 2 is a giant saxophone with the greatest saxophone riff ever in gaming. I will dispute that till the day I die. That is an amazing riff. If I had the PS1 hooked up, I would turn on the CD. Oh yeah, this game, you can fully listen to its soundtrack. If you put it in a CD player, you can listen to the soundtrack. That is like the coolest thing I have seen a PS1 game have. I don't care who you are, that is just cool. The fact that you can actively listen to the soundtrack of this game. No need for a freaking extra disc or anything. Goddamn Nintendo. I do not want to pay $80 for a symphony soundtrack. That's why I just listened to it on the freaking 3D All Stars, because I want to listen to the Galaxy soundtrack without having to deal with a CD player. But no, it was really cool because it's not with all play PS1 games, but some of them do have the functionality of you can listen to the soundtrack, which is one of the coolest things ever, in my opinion, when it comes to like niche things a game can do. Uh, no, so you see, you go on this big adventure. You start out in the forest or jungle. I I honestly forgot what it was because one of the enemies that is an enemy spawner basically, but it's a plant covered in lips and it vomits out the enemies and then it just kind of deflates when you kill it. So that's what I'm at right now. But through the game you'll be getting one ups and main function of these the main way of getting these one ups is collecting these things called tings. Ting. Tings. Not to be confused with things, but tings. They're little glowing orby things. They're basically your rings in Sonic, your coins in Mario, stuff like that. Your your weird gosh, your crystals in other games, your stuff like that, your Wampa Fruit and Crash. It's the same thing. Your gems in Spyro, except those they don't go towards 100% completion. Yeah, but no. So you see, Rayman was a game released on the PS1 and the Atari Jaguar, cause yeah, Atari thought 3D graphics were good and stuff like that, so they got the 2D game. But no, so you see, Rayman 1 is a 2D platformer, much like the nowadays Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends, where Rayman 2 and 3 are 3D platformers. Rayman 2 being considered one of the greatest platformers of all time, and I will not dispute that because I love that game. I don't own it anymore. I really need to get it again. I might just buy Rayman 3D because it's cheap and expensive and I don't have to own a Dreamcast. Yet. Wait till I decide to do Sonic Adventure, because god damn, my buddy won't stop bragging up that game. And if you want to visit his stuff, I'll put a link in the description because he asked me to do this. Because yeah, but back to Rayman. Uh, so world-wise, you got the forest area. Then you got the one that I remember most, Bandland. Because everything after Bandland is pure pain. Oh my god. What is Bandland? Well, exactly what you think. Enemies that are drums. Weird, evil music note guys that you meet in level 1 have goggles now. But you see, the boss of this world is, of course, that saxophone? Yeah, it's a saxophone with eyes, arms, and legs that pukes bombs at you that you gotta hit back at him. It's actually a really cool boss fight. Uh, then you get to the third world, which is like an Earth world, and you gotta climb a mountain and stuff like that. Then there's the art world, and then you're like, cool, now I can go fight the final. No, you see, everything after Bandland, those last two worlds are pure pain. Like bad enemy placement, pure luck platforming. We're talking Sonic the Hedgehog for the Genesis levels of just random bullcrap, just off screen killing you. Uh, you do get the ability to grab ledges in the rock world, so I mean that's dumb. In the in the freaking art world, you get the ability to dash, which comes in handy with the final two levels, which you can't play unless you 100% the game. That's right, the only way to beat the final boss is to quite literally get every single Electoon just to fight the final boss. Now, you see, Rayman 1, it's okay. I mean, it's a good platformer if you want a challenge, and I mean a challenge. This bastard is harder in the second half than the second half of the original Crash Bandicoot, and that game feels like you're trying to jump a button from one chair to another with a string. But so you make it to Mr. Dark's castle, and you go and you're expecting, oh yeah, a normal boss fight. No, you get to fight scrambled versions of every single other boss before you get to even fight Mr. Dark. Cause game design. But overall, Rayman 1's a good game. It just falls to the shortcomings of it was rushed. A little history on that is so the creator of Rayman, if I wouldn't have mentioned it, I probably would remember his name. Uh, he he just out of college was hired by Ubisoft Montpellier and he moved down to Montpellier, France, and they started working on it. Well, you see, the game had a deadline, and that deadline was coming up really fast, so they didn't have time to test the levels and balance it. So they only really got to test about half of the game, and fix those issues with those levels to give it a fair, difficulty curve. Well, the game was scheduled to come out before they could even test the rest of the stuff, so they just kind of, rushed it out. So levels are more difficult and even harder than you think they would be because after World 2, because the game is already kind of difficult in World 1, it's not too bad, but it's a fair difficulty where you're like, oh, it will just get a little bit harder throughout the entire game. Where instead it does a giant difficulty spike in World 2, which really just kind of detracts from the overall game because it had a chance to be honestly great. And I mean, the sequel, that's where things are at. And if I get a copy of the sequel again, I will do a video on it because honestly, Rayman is one of the best platformers out there. And before Legends came out, and I'm hoping they come out with another 3D Rayman game because honestly, I we're overdue for one. But so Rayman 1 feels like Rayman Origins, which was to start to be a remake of the original Rayman 1, but became its own thing. We really need a remake of this game. Rayman 1 was such a great game. It's just its shortcomings are so large and detracting from the entire game. The game has a great soundtrack, great design overall. But if they should make a remake of the original Rayman, because if they do, it would be phenomenal. There's more Raymans in this game than just the one Rayman. There's like a weird caveman one, and then one that gives one with an afro that gives you the ability to fly forever, but just for the duration of that level. You get to meet him in the World 3, the rock level, and I mean, it's a pretty cool level because all you're doing is just flying down a hallway filled with spikes. That's the entire level, but. But overall, if you have a chance to play Rayman, via that, ambiguously putting something on your 3DS to get the DSiWare version of it, which is missing, the intro and outro, but give it a try. If you have a chance, play Rayman. It's not bad, it's not good. It is literally the universe's most okay game in my opinion. Because it's not good, it's not bad. The highs are high, but the lows are really low. The first half of the game is great. The second half of the game is pure pain and absolute just not fun to do. So, hey, if you if you have any suggestions for games that you want me to do in the future and I have it, I will do it. But this is me saying goodbye and remember, I don't know, have a good day. Just remember to have a good day. See you guys.